Tenants and advocates in Washington state believe that landlords are overcharging for damages on properties during move-out and want to make it impossible for landlords to recover money for property damage caused by tenants. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of Washington State. Now, I bring up Washington State a lot because there are so many anti-landlord laws there, and it is just crazy. I mean, I couldn't even imagine doing business in such a place. And I'm not just talking about the city of Seattle. Okay, the entire state has pushed so much, just far left progressive anti-landlord laws that have made it darn near impossible, especially for small landlords, to do business profitably. Okay, so I mean, I wouldn't even invest there, even though they have great appreciation. It just isn't the kind of business model I want to have to deal with. It's not the kind of stress I want to have to deal with. And I don't have the type of money to be able to pay to jump through all the hoops that they're requiring. It's crazy. So this article I'm reading today is actually, it's a tenant, one of those pro-tenant articles, right? And they're talking about how they think landlords are overcharging for the damages, when people move out of properties, right? Now, this is a gripe that I hear a lot, right? And I know that this isn't the case for 99% of landlords. There might be a few bad players out there, but they are the vast minority of landlords, okay? The grand majority of landlords are following the law, doing everything they have to do, and we don't want to take your security deposit. I would much rather you leave my place in great condition and I don't have to fix anything when you move out versus trying to take your security deposit and then having to charge you extra for all of the damage that you did to my property. Okay, that's ridiculous, and that it's unnecessary. But that's exactly what they think that landlords are doing. And this article, of course, once again, another article that's trying to paint landlords in a negative light. And I'm sick of it. Okay, so I'm going to rip this article apart, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And I think that this tenant that's featured in this article is just scamming and trying to play it off like she's this innocent victim when hey, she's not. Okay, the people who usually act like that, they're leaving a lot out of the story, and it's obvious if you have even a shred of common sense. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, okay? As a landlord right now, do you go out of your way to nitpick and charge little stuff that isn't necessary when you're after your tenant moves out? Are you trying to take their security deposit? I know I'm not, okay? The majority of the time, I am refunding, if not the majority of the security deposit, all of it. And the only things that I am taking any money out of are stuff that actually needs to be repaired. That's what the law says. That's exactly what I do. And that's what I imagine that all of the landlords that are watching my videos do as well. So, it really angers me that they think that, hey, well, the solution to this is we're going to pass more laws, more rules, more regulations, right? So us law-abiding landlords, now we have to jump through extra hoops. Okay, we all of a sudden are thrown into this mess because they think that we're all bad, and that's just not the truth. Okay, so Washington State already has pretty strict security deposit laws on the books, right? And I actually looked it up because I was like, I swear I had read that they had passed some pretty strict security deposit laws already, but they want even more. So up there, and I'm just reading from, I'm actually reading from this site, tenantsunion.org, and it says, the new law, which goes into effect January 15th, 2017, requires landlords to charge no more than 1 month's rent for security deposit and non-refundable fees. Additionally, tenants are allowed up to 6-month payment plan for the security deposit, any non-refundable fees, and the last month's rent. So that's part of their security deposit law right there, and I don't like that part. Okay, so when they're talking about adding more to this, this is a ridiculous thing right here. So, yeah, I just feel like, hey, they are so anti-landlord up in Washington State. They just want to basically take everyone's property rights away and turn into a great socialist society. That's at least that's my opinion of what they're trying to do. Ridiculous. Anyway, the main article I'm reading today, it's coming from the Kitsap Sun, and it says, Washington renters being overcharged for damages, advocates say. And once again, they do a great job of talking to advocates and tenants and only getting one side of the story. Okay? And they never seem to be, hey, maybe we should go talk to, some landlords or maybe the local property owners association and try to get their side of the story too. But that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, let's get into this article. And like I said, it's very tenant friendly. So, this hard luck stuff, don't believe it for a second. As a single mother of 4 kids, losing their apartment was hard enough for Natasha Pabin. But then came another brutal blow. $3,500 in charges from the property manager for damages and other fees. It was a cost that 35-year-old Pabin, evicted over a conflict her daughter had with a neighbor, could not afford. Not only was she having to forfeit her $1,155 security deposit, but the property manager at Fern Ridge Apartments in Olympia was charging her for things that she didn't think she should have to cover, like replacing blinds and painting cabinets. She was particularly upset that they charged $300 for general cleaning, even though Pabin, who works as a cleaner, knew the place was spotless. They also charged her nearly $900 for attorney fees, according to documents Pabin provided to Investigate West, despite nothing having been filed in court. Fern Ridge did not return a message seeking comment for this article. Yeah, and that's one of my gripes right there. That this property management company, they didn't reply to the people who wrote the article, so they weren't able to get their side of the story out. So I have to make a few assumptions, but these assumptions they're pretty easy to make because the tenant said a lot just in her reply right there. So what did the tenant say? She said she didn't think that she would have to cover replacing the blinds and painting the cabinets. So you scrape all the paint off the cabinets and tear them up, and you didn't think that you would have to pay to repaint them? You tore the blinds up in the place? What, you think blinds are free? Okay, I've had tenants, blinds are, especially mini blinds, are one of the things that tenants tear up the most. I understand that, kids are rough on blinds especially, right? So that's understandable, but blinds aren't free, okay? And every time I go to the store and I have to replace every single blind in my house, I'm spending hundreds of dollars, okay? Hundreds of dollars to replace the blinds that you tore up. Those blinds were in perfect condition when you moved in. The cabinets, they weren't all scratched up and, they didn't have crayon marks on it. They weren't all torn apart when you moved in. But you think I can rent this place out to the next tenant when it's all scratched up, the blinds are all torn up? No, I'm going to be charging for that. And as for you saying, oh, well, I'm a housekeeper and therefore, I cleaned it perfect and there was nothing left to clean. BS, okay? That's garbage, okay? There's always going to be something that has to be cleaned still. Be that, them going into the ventilation ducts, be that, dusting, be that maybe they had to clean the oven out. Something that you missed, something, and obviously as a landlord, when I have a tenant move out, regardless of whether the tenant cleaned it up or not, and they did a great job cleaning it, I still send somebody in to clean the place up, just so that I can make sure that place is truly clean. Because I don't trust that the tenant did a great job cleaning it, okay? For all I know, they had to get the carpets cleaned. But whatever the case, right? This landlord, is a property manager of an apartment building, and I truly doubt that they didn't correctly itemize all of the expenses and that all of these things were truly broken and needed to be repaired. So, it blows my mind. You don't think that you have to or pay to fix the things that you broke or that you tore up. What a ridiculous joke, And the attorney fees. She's like, nothing was filed in the court, right? But earlier, up in the top of this same paragraph, it says that she was evicted over a conflict her daughter had with a neighbor. So if she was evicted, but nothing was filed in court, what I think they mean is that, they got sent notice that, hey, we are going to file eviction. And what probably happened was she left before she had to go to court. Okay. That doesn't mean, though, that the landlord didn't have attorney fees, because they still had to give you appropriate notice and everything that the eviction was coming, right? And when it comes to a property management company like this, they are always going to use an attorney, especially in a place like Washington State, because they want to make sure they are 100% following the law of the state, and they don't want to get caught up in a trap where you get to stay in the property and not pay rent for long term, okay? So, yeah, I mean, you said a lot in the very first couple of paragraphs, and, I'm ripping it apart. But Pabin has few options to prove that these fees are unreasonable. Housing providers and landlords argue the current system in Washington largely works as intended, allowing disputes to be resolved in small claims court. That route would require Pabin to make time to file a complaint and be able to attend a hearing. Then she must argue convincingly, likely for the first time, against the landlord or housing company. And that's a gripe of mine right there too. She's complaining about having to go to small claims court in order to get her money. Well, what do you think landlords have to do when a tenant owes them money? We have to go to court. We have to argue convincingly that, you owe us that money and that we deserve to get paid. So we have to go through all of that exact same thing. And we probably have to pay an attorney to help us as well. So, you're just having to go through the exact same process as us. This is a civil matter. That's what they always tell us. So why should the tenant be exempt from all of the same exact mess that we have to go through? They shouldn't. It's just ridiculous how all this transpired, Pavin said. They want to evict you, and then they want to put you in an even worse situation. No, we don't want to put you in a worse situation. We want you to pay for the damages that you caused to our property. The security deposit did not cover it. Okay, the fact that we had to file eviction on you, you think we don't deserve to be compensated the legal fees because you wouldn't leave because you violated the terms of your lease? No. Okay, you need to pay us what we are owed. Period. Okay, and you're not getting your security deposit back. We're going to charge you for every little piece of damage that you did. But they say there's urgency to protect renters from unreasonable damage charges, particularly now amid a perfect storm of low vacancy rates and rising evictions following a 2-year moratorium. This April, 126 evictions were filed in King County, a nearly 1,400% increase over the 8 filings in April of 2020. Now, that alone, right? And I had to stop right there because I wanted to just convey how much of a joke that is. 126 evictions were filed in King County. Oh my Lord, that is so many. But then we have to really think about it, right? They say it's a 1,400% increase. Well, here's the thing, okay? Do you know how many people live in King County? I just looked it up before I read this article because I was like, this number seems awfully low. There's like 2.3 million people live in King County, Washington. Okay? 2.3 million. And only 126 eviction filings. Basically, a huge portion of the population right now is still being protected by their eviction protections or moratoriums or whatever the heck you want to call it. And this isn't actually a large number. Okay? This is a very, very small number of people who are actually facing eviction. So, the rest of the article, it goes over how they don't believe that it is fair that, landlords are able to charge for miscellaneous different items or not, right? And I think the whole gist of it is they want to make it so landlords basically can't charge anything. That the tenant should be able to get 100% of their security deposit back, even if they trash the properties. And they want basically to take all of our rights away. and make it even harder to do business within Washington state. Nothing surprising there. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if you're a landlord up in Washington state right now. I wouldn't be surprised if probably within the next year you start to see laws and rules proposed that have to do with this very situation right now. And it's crazy, but just be aware that, hey, it's coming.